Shalom, everyone, and welcome to Coffee and Connection Week 185. So, in all honesty, I was like running around all day, really the last 2 days with a bunch of different things. And I was actually like at the doctor with my son. Thank God he's fine. We just had some checkups, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even have a topic for Coffee and Connection, but I still want to be here. And I don't even know, I didn't have like any specific ideas. I have so many ideas. I have so many different thoughts in my mind. I've been going to a bunch of different classes on getting ready for Pesach and trying to get myself ready and giving the coaching and the keeping calm and connected coaching experience. We're already up to day 2. Very, very powerful. And so I didn't really have anything specific planned for us to talk about today. At the same time, I did want to connect with you, and I wanted this to be an opportunity for us to, yes, take some time and acknowledge that no matter what's going on, this is always an important part of our lives. No matter what important aspect to acknowledge and be focused on is that no matter what's going on, to stay consistent in the things that we make a difference for us. And I hope these calls or podcasts or whatever you want to call it, these sessions make a difference for you. And I did not want to pause it. And so I figured we could come here together and just, see what's on your mind. Do you have any questions? You're welcome to put a question in the chat. Otherwise, I'll just talk. I don't know, share some things that, are coming to my mind. One thing that I think is really powerful that has surface through different things that I've been hearing, and I talked about this a little bit last week on the Absolutely Feminine coaching call, is this idea of I think especially now it can be very powerful because, and definitely if you have questions, just go ahead and put them in the chat, and I'll be happy to address them as well. Um, I really acknowledge everyone who came here live and took the time to show up, and so it's great to, I'm happy to support you. One thing that can happen when we're so busy with so many different things, is that we can start to feel resentment. We can start to feel not just tired and anxious and nervous and stressed and everything, but we can start to feel resentment. And what's interesting about resentment is that it's something that follows as a result, and this is a really cool concept that is really something that came out of a class that I was at last week, that which was about Shmuel, and is about Shaul and David and all these different, things that may seem like, what does this have to do with our relationships and building ourselves? But that's the power of learning Nevi'im. That's the power of studying Torah in a way where you're really looking to understand the messages, and then really does become relevant to your lives, right? We know that all the books of, especially Nevi'im and Ketuvim, like Torah, of course, is in Tanakh. Nevi'im and Ketuvim, there were hundreds, maybe there were thousands of books to choose from. What did the rabbis choose to put into the Tanakh was specifically the books that would be relevant in every generation to everyone, which means as we're reading it, we're not meant to be saying, oh, let's find out Jewish history. It's not about Jewish history. It even says in some of the books, like, oh, and if you want to know history, you can look in the history books, right? This is about messages. And so one of the things that we see so powerfully came out in the share that I was in was the idea of how resentment is so rooted in a feeling of injustice. And I really invite you to think about that for a moment, right? How if you're finding yourself feeling resentful towards your husband or towards your children or towards other women for whatever reason, sometimes we feel like, why does she not have to work as hard as I do? Or why does she get to have this help? Or why does she have to fill in the blank, right? She gets to, and I don't, I have to, fill in my own blank. Or a lot of times the resentment is coming. No, I'm going to say it like this: resentment is almost always rooted in a sense of injustice. And what we see, the type of resentment that I think we can see, especially coming up now, is the resentment that comes up when we are overwhelmed, when we are overextended. We can start to feel resentful. And that's generally what I would say about resentment, is that it means that it's what we're making something mean, and if we're feeling like we're giving more than we want to give or more than we can give, or we're feeling, putting in this injustice idea, we're feeling like we're giving more than somebody else in a way that's quote unquote not fair, right? And when that's the case, generally the answer, I always say, if you're feeling resentful about something, Don't do it. Don't do it and then feel resentful about it. It's not worth it, especially you're doing something for someone. But sometimes we're not doing it. And I've had this question come up over the years, and I'm so happy to have a clearer answer for it. Sometimes women will say to me, okay, so I'm feeling resentful for it about it, but I can't just stop doing it. I can't just stop doing it. I have to clean for Pesach. I have to get the kids to school. I have to go to pay the bills. I have to, whatever it is, I have to clean up after Shabbos, whatever it is, I have to do it. I can't just stop doing it. And generally, what that means, I'm going to say two things here, and they're both very relevant for now. Generally, what that means is that we are, like I said, overextending. We feel like we're doing too much, and then put that together with a sense of injustice. It usually means that we feel that we're doing more than the person we're resentful of. We're feeling like I'm doing more than my husband. I'm working so hard and the kids are just making a mess. I'm working so hard and he's doing whatever he wants. And we have this feeling of like overextension and injustice, like all wrapped up in one, which is what can create the feeling of resentment. And when we're in resentment, that's just going to create a lot of negativity. That's going to create a lot of bad moods, right? Being triggered, a lot of stuff that can come up. So it's may not be that we could just stop doing the thing, but we can get curious of like what's the thoughts of injustice that are coming up for me? Where am I overextending further than I need to? Or where can I make sure that I'm also taking care of myself? Right? Just like coming here, right? We're realizing that like it's not always so much what we're doing, it's what we're not doing, right? Or it's not what we're yeah, like what we're not doing. We're not taking care of ourselves. We're not giving ourselves permission to rest. We're not giving ourselves permission to still get that walk or yoga class in or to call a friend. We're not giving ourselves permission to eat or sleep or breathe or whatever it is, right? We're not giving ourselves permission to take care of ourselves the way we're taking care of everybody else. Right? So, like, get curious with yourself. Where are your thoughts going? Are you feeling resentful because you're doing more than someone else? Are you feeling resentful because you think others should help you more? Are you feeling resentful because really you need a break? Because then you can figure out, okay, so what is it that I need to do? Do I need to take a break? Do I need to know how to ask for help? Do I need to acknowledge that we have different roles to play, and do I need to acknowledge that I'm doing something because it's important to me, right? There's different tools that you're going to use based on what you acknowledge, where you acknowledge the resentment and the feeling of injustice is coming from, right? And that can be honestly game changing. And these are the kind of things I'm going deeper into in the Keeping Calm and Connected because I have 10 minutes every day. So I get to go a little bit more into these topics. But these are the kinds of things that can really make a difference. By the way, if you still want to join, it's still open. You'll only have one day to catch up on because we're only on day two. So you can go to hanadoish.com/calm if you feel like you need this kind of insight and clarity and like what to focus on and what to help you get into a mindset where you're not going through the next 2 weeks feeling resentful, you're not going through the next 2 weeks feeling exhausted and overextended and stressed and angry and snapping at everybody. We're going to be dealing with that over the next week as well. There's so many tools that are game changing. And you might say, "Yeah, but I don't have time for it now." But especially now is when we need it. Now, something else that I was thinking about this week, I didn't know if I should do a whole coffee on connection on this. I might at another time. But a topic that I was thinking about is it was a funny thought. I told you I do a lot of like thinking on like Shabbos morning. I think I've shared that here. Like it's just quiet. Usually it's pretty quiet for like not always, but I sometimes there's a few hours, like an hour or two or like it's quiet. Like either people are out or people are sleeping and like I'm just like cleaning up or reading or learning or davening or whatever and like I get to do a lot of thinking, a lot of like processing. And one of the things that I was processing this week is this thought of like I was imagining like it's a funny thought, but I was having this thought of like imagine as I'm cleaning up and as I'm like taking care of things, like imagining somebody there who's telling me anything that I might be doing wrong, right? Like, okay, like there's so many like malachot, there's so many things that we might do on Shabbos without realizing, like, you're not supposed to do that, right? So, like, did I do this right? Did I do that right? And then it reminded me, like having someone like on your shoulder, like telling you, oh, don't do this, don't do that. It reminded me of this teaching that a Rebbe of my husband's, or Mati Berger from Asia Torah, he has this idea that he talks about how like everyone wants. I'm not going to get it right. I'm going to butcher it a little bit, I'm sure, because I don't remember exactly the context, but it's something about how people have a Superman view of God. I think this is the idea. People have a Superman view of God. Like they want God to come in and save them when they need to be saved, like Superman, right? But they don't necessarily want Superman then following them afterwards and saying, "Who's that girl you're talking to? And why'd you talk to your mother like that? And did you give the right did you why didn't you tell the cashier that they gave you too much change?" Like, you don't want Superman following you around. He just wanted to save you when you need him, right? So I was thinking about that. Like that's kind of like that Rev Mati Burger idea. Like, do you want someone over your shoulder telling you, "Don't do this, don't do that"? And then I was started thinking about all of you, right? Started thinking about women and, how sometimes we can, and this is something that we've talked about a lot. I talk about it with my clients, the idea of like the resistance, right? That sometimes we resist exactly what it is that we say we want most, right? Yeah, I want to have a calm pre Pesach, but do I really want someone whispering in my ear every day telling me how I could create that? Or is that not the do I really want that, right? Do I really want that? Do I really want the thought of like, well, you really should be, doing this and careful not to get triggered and be more aware of how you're talking to your kids and, wait, what's your state today? And like, do I really want that? Or sometimes is it easier and more comfortable for sure, because comfort, our brain always wants what we know. Can it be more comfortable to just stay in what we know? And maybe sometimes even, and I'm just going to say this because it's so true, and sometimes I have to check myself on it. It's something that is so important to acknowledge. Like, does it sometimes feel almost, it's going to sound funny to say this, but like we almost feel pleasure in the resentment, right? Like this pleasure of like we get to be right, or we get to be the better one who like is doing everything. There's like what's the right word? I don't know if pleasure is the right word, but like a pleasure in feeling overextended, a pleasure in being frantic, in being busy, right? That's like the it word today is to be busy, right? What do you mean? How could I go through this time and not say I'm busy? How could I be calm? Like, isn't that kind of like not religious to like go through this time period being calm, right? Like, it'll make me feel less like I feel like an Ashes Chayil when I'm so busy and frantic and saying, no, I don't need anything for myself. I don't need to take care of myself. There might be a part of us, and I invite you to check in with yourself if there's a part of you that actually feels like a sense of what's like a sense of like righteousness there, or a sense of like feeling like, like I get to be this martyr almost, right? We might not think of it as a martyr, but really like think about it. Like, is that how you're maybe relating to it? And like getting curious, like what would be stopping me from actually doing Pesach differently? And I'll also tell you that one of the things that really inspired me to do this, because let's be honest here, like this is more work for me on Erev Pesach, right? Like I need to put together these coaching, and I'm happy, I'm really enjoying it, but it is more work. I'm also getting ready for Pesach. I also have to clean. I also have to get my house ready and a Seder, please God, and my kids and company and get everything together, right? And take care of myself and take care of my clients and, you know, putting in this program. Why did I create it? And I want to tell you, it's not just because I know how busy women are and how that extends into their families. And I've seen the difference that these tools make in how me and my family and my clients and their families are able to go into Pesach differently, are able to look forward to it differently, are able to feel different and be inspired differently and feel like excited about it. But also more than that, and this is, I don't know if I've shared this here yet. One other thing is that my inbox and my emails and my WhatsApps are the most filled with like almost frantic emails of like, I need help. Please help me. When can I speak to you? Always the week after a Chalamoid. So whether it's the week after Sukkot or the week after Pesach, that's when I get the most stressed emails where not just like I'm exhausted and I can't get back to myself. That happens. But I'm talking about the emails of I can't believe the way me and my husband were acting towards each other over the Chag. I can't believe the feeling that there was in my house over the whole holiday. And it becomes a like not another moment. Like I can't be in this another moment. I can't live like this. This isn't this isn't working. This doesn't it can't be like this another year. And it's important to acknowledge like do you like how going into the holiday then affects the holiday, and what if you could not just go into the holiday differently but get through the holiday differently, right? And that's why I created the program and why it's going to be going through till the end of Pesach also, right? Because I want you to be able to have that support even over Chalamoid. And then Pesach will be over. We'll have our Q&A coaching call, which is always fun. And then, which is another thing that I'm busy with right now, please God, is that With All Your Heart is going to start. With All Your Heart, can you guys believe it? Season 9. So I actually got some emails from women saying, what is With All Your Heart? And, you know, hello to everyone who does, like welcome to all the like anyone new here who is not familiar with All Your Heart. With All Your Heart is an interview series that I do every year for it's for the last 8 years. This is going to be the ninth year, which is crazy. So excited. I actually did the first two interviews yesterday and today. Amazing. I'm so excited for all of you to hear it. And it's a free series. There's also a VIP option. So the free series gives you access to the interviews for 48 hours each as they're released. I do a free training every day to go more into depth into different ideas. And the VIP option gives you lifetime access to all of those interviews and trainings, and also a VIP coaching call every day. So we also do Q&A coaching every day of the series, which is going to be about, again, like a 12-day to over 12 days this year. So very excited. And so then we'll go right into the support that With All Your Heart offers, because you get to be a VIP, right? You get a VIP ticket to With All Your Heart together with the Keeping Calm and Connected. So if anyone is feeling like, wait, maybe I do need something more for myself, I really invite you to consider it. I invite you actually just to jump in. Like we're already on day 2. Pesach is so soon, and I know there's a lot that needs to be done. I know how much I need to get done, and I haven't really been able to really get started. But there's, and that's and yet I can be calm about it, which is so powerful. Why? Because of the different tools that I'll share with you, and because how calm you are is not an indication of how much you've gotten done. I really invite you to think about that. There are women who can be crazy stressed for a month before Pesach, 2 months, whatever. Are they going to be calmer or more stressed on Erev Pesach if they've been crazy for the last 6 months or month or whatever? The irony is that the more calm you are going through the whole experience, the calmer you'll you'll be, and the more stressed you are, the more stressed you'll be the entire time, and it has no indication of how much you've actually still need to get done. Let me say it that way. Because when you're stressed, you can get a lot done, but sometimes it can be, you're kind of like turning your wheels, right? Like spinning your wheels. Um, because it feels like you're doing a lot, but still feeling like you're so far away from what you need to accomplish. Is this resonating with you guys? Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. And what we want, and when I say I haven't gotten anything, it's not that I haven't gotten anything done. It's just that, yes, I still have a long list of things to do. I'm sure we all do, right? And like I said last week, we all have our own timeline of what works for us and what we can do, right? So some families, get everything done early, and then here there are some families that like go on vacation next week, right? Because the kids are out of school, and like so they go on vacation the week before. I'm like, I could not fathom that, right? That would mean also like taking 2 weeks to just be like, taking 2 weeks off, taking 2 weeks to just, a week to focus on cleaning, and then a week to go away. Very nice, or like cleaning while working, cleaning while being in your everyday, which works for, right? Works for some people. Like I said, when are you going to turn over your kitchen? When are you going to cook? Are you making Seder? Are you not? Are you having Shabbos Yantif? Are you having Shabbos and then 2 days of Yantif? Are you having company, going away, having your kids, going to your kids? Like everyone has their own life, their own experience, and their own personality and nature and level of, like how like organized versus laid back there are, right? There's so many different things. And it's so, yes, it's so stressful to hear how far along everyone else is. I agree. That was last week's, that's why I talked about that last week. And the truth is, it doesn't matter how far everyone else is. What matters is what works for me, what works for me. And that's why in keeping calm and connected, I'm not telling you what to do. You should feel this way. You should be this far. You should do this for yourself. You should say this, do that, because you're not me and I'm not you. All I can do is coach you on figuring out what will work for you. What's going to help you be in the state that you need to be in, forgetting all the noise. There's so much noise of like people stressing us out, right? Because there's so much Pesach noise. And I almost felt bad as I was promoting this coaching experience that like I'm contributing to the Pesach noise, how stressed we are, how much there is to do. So I apologize for that. I don't want to contribute to the Pesach noise. I do want to help you with the Pesach noise, right? And some of that Pesach noise, if you didn't listen to last week's Coffee and Connection, you definitely want to, right? About all the noise of how far are you and when are you turning over your kitchen and how many rooms do you have done? And like, like everyone's got to do what works for them. It's not there isn't a timeline. It's so funny. I always find it humorous when you open like on Shabbos, I opened up like a Haggadah that I used to read every year, and then I realized that I was learning it like when I was like in seminary, I was always like reading it even before Pesach. So now I wouldn't put on my Pesach table a book that had been on a table that wasn't kosher for Pesach. So I'm a little bit more I get a little bit crazy with these things sometimes. So I stopped putting it with our Pesach stuff because I know I'd been learning it for years before Pesach. So I opened it though last Shabbos was our first long Shabbos. I'm like, oh, I can open a Haggadah. I think I read like 2 pages. But what was so interesting is how it's talking about it's B'dikas chametz. Do we check for chametz when it gets dark the night before Pesach? Really, only the men should do it. The women can help if they want, but it should primarily be the men. And it's customary to tidy up is what it says. And this isn't from that long ago, right? Eliyahu Kitov lived what I think 100, maybe 200 years ago. No, I don't even think that. I don't even know if that long ago. I could be getting this wrong. And he says it's customary to. This is the heritage I got it. It's customary to tidy up the during the day before so that you can check for chametz without having to like go through a balagan, which is kind of like what I say about like the month leading up to the week before Pesach. We have like the week before Pesach is when we clean, and the month before that it's like we should be organizing ideally, right? So that when we go to clean, it's like the pre-cleaning, right? It's the spring cleaning that makes the chametz cleaning so much easier. And it's just humorous, right? Like, you should tidy up a little the day before. Meanwhile, there are some people are cleaning for months. Now, I'm not saying you should if that works for you, but everyone has to do what works for them. The halacha is no chametz, that your home should be free of chametz from the night before Pesach, right? And how you do that, the order you do it in, how much you do every day, how far in advance, that's based on what works for you. That's based on what works for you and your family. So here, someone saying, not that he's right. Liel Kitov did not live that long ago. He was friends with my uncle who died in 1999. So I remember him. Wow. Wow, yeah, because I was thinking that he also wrote some things like about modern Jewish history and modern, like holidays and events. And it's in some versions, it's not in some versions. So interesting. Yeah, I'm remembering that he did live in the 1900s. Like I know 1900s so long ago, like but like, thinking like, wow, we're so old. We were born in the 1900s. Some of you may not have been, but yes. So, um, so yeah, like like we have to remember that yes, we live in homes that are a little bit more, that are bigger and more intricate. We walk around with food more. Snacking was not a thing back in, not that long ago. You ate at the table and that was it. You checked your pockets, you checked the corners. There wasn't much to it, right? My mother always tells me how my grandfather lived in like a one-bedroom apartment, like him and his grandparents and his aunts and uncle and a whole bunch of people. They all lived in like a one-bedroom apartment, and whoever got into the bed first that night got the bed. Where everyone else slept, I don't know. I guess on the floor. I don't know. But like life was much simpler, and now our homes are much more complicated. So, yes, we take more time, but there's no halacha about how much time it has to take. There's only like women's what women like, and like I said, for some women, I don't want to say it's crazy. It's not. For some women, that's what works. For some women in their lives and how much they have going on, that's the way that works for them to do it. And for other women, it would be crazy. Like they can't even fathom cleaning a month before because they know their kids are going to go in there. They know that it's, much more relaxed and people are not just eating at the table. It all depends on what works for you. So if you're feeling a little bit out of sorts of that, you're not sure, wait, what works for me? What's good for me and my family? And how can I make sure I'm doing me the way that works for me? I'm going through this period in a confident way, in a calm way, feeling connected. And again, not just, I said this previously, like not just to myself and to my family, but also to Pesach. Like this is a holiday we're getting ready for. A chinuch holiday, the holiday of educating our children, of reconnecting to our Jewish identity as a family, families that make up a nation. That's like so powerful in Pesach. If you don't feel connected to that and you want to, then I really invite you to step into the keeping calm and connected. All of that is going to be a part of it. So excited to share it all with you. You can go to hanadeutsch.com/calm. And I look forward to supporting you there. I do hope that we'll have Coffee and Connection next week, but I am not going to promise. I have to see how everything goes. And because it actually is my anniversary this week, there is my husband has something planned for one night next week. So I do also have to take that into account, please God, in like making sure I get everything in. um, so I will keep you posted. You will get an email if there is a coffee and connection. And I hope to see you in the coaching program. And I look forward to connecting with you all there. Um, yes, and let's all like really take a moment to acknowledge that we're doing our best. Our best is awesome. We're going to do it the way that feels best for us. And like I said, if you feel you need any support in this, if you feel that you need any, like a hand holding, right? Like a word of encouragement. And I've actually been really good at keeping it to 10 minutes. So like you can listen while you're like, brushing your teeth and putting on your moisturizers or while you're whatever your morning routine is, or while you're washing dishes or driving in the car, or, you know, scrubbing the toy cupboard, whatever you're doing, right? I can be here for you every day. Let me know if you have any questions. I look forward to connecting with you further. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, may we all be blessed to live, love, and be loved with all our hearts. Goodbye for now.